Greetings. I am very happy to see you on my channel. Your support in the form of likes, subscriptions, and comments means a lot to me. It serves as an incentive for me to create more content. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the videos. It's been 2 years since Victoria and I got married. We now live in our own apartment, thanks to the help of her parents. At first, my in-laws were doubtful about me because of my humble background. However, I worked hard to improve our housing situation, and by the time of our wedding, we had purchased our own place. Victoria's parents also lived nearby, in the same town. We visited each other from time to time. After my father-in-law died, we visited Ellen more often to keep her company. Victoria worked as an architect for a construction agency. Although she loved her job, the growing number of projects required her to travel to various sites. I tolerated it at first, but over time it began to bother me. Sometimes we fought. She would arrive 3 days late. Victoria would call me in the evening when she was supposed to be on her way home. I put the book aside and sat up straight in my chair. The unexpected news came again. I spewed out my thoughts without thinking of the consequences. "That's exactly what you believe," she replied, and abruptly ended the conversation. There must have been other people nearby, or Victoria would have continued to accuse me of undermining her efforts at work. The evening was marred by sad news. I tried to read a few more pages, but upon rereading, I realized I couldn't remember the previous lines. Putting the book back on the shelf, I decided to call Ellen. "Good evening, William," she greeted me. "Good evening. Are you busy right now?" "May I come in?" There was a moment of silence, but then she agreed to my request. Surprisingly, my mother-in-law did not inquire as to the reason for my visit. We had a tradition of sorts. When Victoria went away for a few days, I always visited my mother-in-law on one of those days. As I entered the kitchen, I noticed a slight chaos. I'm trying to remember the pie recipe my mother-in-law said. Indeed, this is a prime example of creative clutter. "Can I help?" I offered, rolling up the sleeves of my sweater. She smiled shyly and nodded. Ever since her husband had died, she had been in a constant state of melancholy. She seemed to have lost her concentration, and there was no spark or interest in her gaze. But Victoria had noticed that her mother was gradually recovering from her loss, and now, as we sat at the table enjoying the pie she'd made, I could see that the spark had returned to her eyes. Ellen smiled, playfully remembering how Victoria had always loved jam as a topping. As my mother-in-law washed the dishes in the sink, I felt like hugging her and expressing my gratitude for the evening, which I did. "William, that won't be necessary," she said. Nevertheless, we continued to hug each other. Suddenly, she turned in my embrace and reached for my lips. The same strange impulse that had prompted me to embrace her now led me to her lips. We reached her bedroom, and then something unexpected happened between us.